Hi everyone, I'm Lee from True Silver, and today I'm with Farida from Bravo Associates, and we're talking about what is HR. So I know those words sometimes give people a little bit of a panic attack because I think we feel like the HR police might come in over our shoulder. But say hello, Farida.
Hi everybody, nice to meet you all, and thank you for the opportunity to have this chat with you and to alleviate those perceptions of the HR police.
So go on then, Farida. What on earth is HR in essence?
Well, I struggle to explain this in a pitch or 60 seconds, but somebody once said that buildings don't behave the way you want them to. And I can only associate that with people as well. People don't behave the way you want them to. And so that basically is what HR is. It's helping those people to behave the way you want them to, or finding the right people that will give you what you want.
Right.
So there's coming into an organization, there's whilst you're in an organization, and then there's leaving the organization.
Yeah.
So there can be so sometimes you may see it being called hands-on or operational or business as usual, and that will be your day-to-day stuff. So it could be someone's going absent and they've been going absent for quite some time. What do I do? Or it could be strategic, as in COVID's really impacted my business. I can't afford to keep everybody. I don't know what to do. What does that mean? So there's the two. There's the strategic and the operational. And I do get excited by it, and I really hate to say it, but when somebody calls me up and I'm grinning from ear to ear, and I'm just glad they can't see me, because unfortunately their misery makes my day. Because my brain is ticking through the solutions, and yes, we can do that. And one of the nicest things everybody else has ever said to me was, "Is that it? I haven't been sleeping for 2 weeks. If I'd called you 2 weeks ago, we'd have sorted it out then." Okay. So really it is, I see it as doing your day-to-day stuff with the people stuff that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. And sorry, that was my book falling on the floor. So that you can focus on your business and let me deal with the people things. So does that really give you an explanation of what HR is?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. Yeah, I obviously, especially the getting people to do what you want them, behave how you want them to behave.
Yeah.
Or, find the people that can, because I think that's a big thing for businesses, especially when they're starting out with their first employees. I hear a lot of people who kind of go, "Oh, I want another me." I go, "No, you don't, because that other you will start up another business in competition with you once they've learned everything from you."
That's where your contract comes in. and it's that horrible admin side of non-compete and non-competitive, but that's another subject.
Yes, but it's a very relevant subject. But at the same time, you don't even want to be having that battle. You want to avoid kind of issues like that. So you actually want people that complement what you do or can do little bits of what you do. But
also people that want you to succeed and are passionate about what you're trying to do, and blend in with that, because it's finding people with the same values as you. And as you and I know, being self-employed has its peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
So, and some people will do it and some people won't. So it's finding the people that can come and give their commitment to you, and you build their value, you build you value them, so their contribution makes them feel better about themselves and they love coming to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think everybody will have you believe that it's all about money. But I saw this lovely, everybody knows about TED Talks, not many people know about RSA Animate. And there was this lovely Animate video that was talking about how people actually like to do things for free for themselves.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia is a perfect example of that. People actually spend a lot of time updating Wikipedia and giving their knowledge and things, and they don't get paid for it. In fact, some of them pay Wikipedia in order to put it up there, you know. And people will have you believe that everyone's very selfish and money motivated. But referral schemes, for instance, a lot of people do a lot to help their friend, rather than kind of actually earn themselves money. So yeah, totally.
That's a whole different umbrella within HR. So there's the reward and compensation, and then you get all these motivation theories. But I'll just summarize that as intrinsic and intrinsic.
Yeah.
But then there's also that behavioral side of HR. Yeah. And with a lot of SMEs, people think it's my business. I can do what I want, but that sometimes doesn't get them what they want for their business, and that's the sad thing.
Yeah.
So a quote from Al Capone, which I never knew it was an Al Capone quote: "Don't take my kindness as a weakness."
Yeah.
You know, some people think if you're kind to them, they're going to think you're weak, and therefore, so it's just understanding what a culture of business is and how they're going to react to something. And what motivates individuals, and so how do you then tie the two together?
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this then?
Oh, now 30 years. 30 years this year.
Oh wow, good.
30 years this year. I started as a graduate trainee with the railway.
Nice.
And then 10 years ago, I went into doing interim work. And 5 years ago, I started my business. So, 30 years.
Don't. I have the same kind of feeling. My business is 17 years old this month.
Wow.
And I'm going, it's a teenager. It's literally, it should be moving home by now. At least learning to drive or something. So obviously you started 30 years ago. Go on. What's big differences between now and then? What do you?
Wow. So back when I studied it in the 80s, it was very much. It was called personnel.
Yeah.
And it was all admin and tea and sympathy.
Right.
And so people think that's all it is. You cross your I's and you dot your T's and you make sure the business is compliant. That has continued, but then it focused on human resources and human capital, which I thought is a horrible term. So human resources is seeing us as individuals as a resource, as you do with buildings and finance and et cetera, et cetera. But then during the 90s, it moved towards being more strategic and business focused. And that's when you work with the owners or the C-level or the MDs to understand where that business is going and whether the HR strategy is aligned to the business to deliver those objectives. So HR turned its head around as if, yes, I can do 1,001 things, but if they're not pushing the team to deliver the objectives of the business, then we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
So for example, when I was at Build-A-Bear, they had 3 goals: profit, customers, employees. And if anything you did not contribute to those, then don't do it.
Nice.
And that was it. And that simply is HR. So how is that going to improve our profit? How is that going to improve our customer client relationship? How is that going to improve employees' contribution? So that's what you constantly go back to, and it's driving everybody to behave that way. And so if a manager is not leading his team and his team are not contributing towards profit, what do we need to tweak for that to happen? So and now it's all about analytics. So it's all about measuring. So what did that HR intervention cost and what was the return on that investment? So if you say, I introduced managing absence, and prior to that, the average absence was 8 days per employee, and I reduced that down to 3 days, that saved the business X%, or it added to the profit, improved, increased, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So at the moment, that's the buzzword but it's having to, so HR leaders are now having to get into the detail and work with finance to say, okay, what did that save us? So you can start talking about the costs of everything and the element of how it is actually helping the business, but in financial terms.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now. And of course, everything is now digital. Your HR systems and your recruitment, your learning and development, even apps that are going to give feedback, and your performance management. There's a move away from the annual appraisal, which I never agreed with, because it always came at Christmas time when people were either doing end of year or they were getting ready for Christmas, and it was just too business-wise, it was just too busy. So that's now moved away to regular one-to-one reviews, almost having a weekly review that then adds that cumulatively is your annual appraisal. So because you've been doing it weekly or monthly or quarterly, etc. So, but also it's another move is towards employee experience. So everybody talks about customer experience and repeat customers, but now you treat your employees as if they are customers. So what's their experience? And can we make it unique in each person within the business and give them an individual employee experience? So that's where it kind of gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So does any...
Yeah, no, that's great. No. So, because it is interesting, I've forgotten about the term personnel. Obviously, you know, we talk about personnel as in the personnel within a company, like the employee. But I'd totally forgotten that used to be the term. And then kind of, like you say, I mean, I actually quite like the term human capital, because from a business point of view, it does actually kind of really go, this is like a big thing, you know, capital is important. Whereas resource just sounds like you say, it just sounds like pencils, pens, you know, it's not very, I don't know, important somehow. But interesting. So what do you think companies can do to make HR easier?
I think a lot the explanation of what it is, because as you mentioned earlier, the HR police, as soon as you walk into the room, people will stop talking, or if you're out on an event, it'll be shh, there's HR. So it's talking about what that is. And sometimes I have to say to people, don't tell me something if you think I have to do something about it, because as an employer, I then become culpable. So it is a minefield. Some of it is a minefield. But if people understand that HR are there to help people do the job they're employed to do, as well as help the business to do that, and you've got people who you can talk to and build up a relationship with, you can achieve that. But if you're in an environment which, what I would call is a tell and do, or is a authoritarian environment, that doesn't build up trust, and therefore people won't do things willingly and well.
Yeah.
They'll do it because they have to, or they'll do it because it's a job, or they'll be the 9-to-5 kind of people. What you want, and what the workplace has moved to now, is that you are actually contributing to the business. So with the whole COVID experience, a lot of businesses, a lot of my clients before COVID wouldn't do the work from home because of the trust element. Yeah. And COVID has forced that and built up that trust. And in some people, it's improved engagement, it's improved that relationship. And for some, depending on their individual circumstances, it hasn't been good, and they need different ways of managing that. But it's that, for me, it's that cultural issue. So for a startup, it's understanding what are the values of the founders, because unconsciously their own personal values will steer the direction of that company, and how they treat customers, and how they treat employees, and how they treat suppliers. And that's when, if you're not aware of that, and if there are a group of founders, you've agreed your own boundaries, and then you recruit on that, you train on that, you promote on that, and you exit on that, then everybody's heading in the same direction. There comes a point where you want different people, because if you keep recruiting the same, nothing will change. So you need to shake it up depending on what stage you're at the business. But it is about culture. And with today, so we're now talking about millennials who and the Z generation, who are so used to having different ways of working. And some companies have got 4 generations. So how do you get 4 generations and keep them all engaged and motivated and contributing? So they're all the things that add to that culture. And even in an SME of only 5 people, you may have friends and family, and so people will feel reluctant to say anything if it's the boss's wife or the boss's girlfriend or the boss's husband or what have you. So they're the kind of things that I will then talk through. So I've had clients who have had family. I've had a client who employed her own sister, and her sister really turned on her and ended up her being ill. But because she was her sister, she didn't want to dismiss her. But it was really costing the business. It was really impacting the business. It was bringing negativity into it. And she actually became mentally ill to the point where she wanted to sell her business. So it's dealing with those kind of things, and also mediating between the two of them, saying when you're at work, you're an employee. Outside of work, you're the sister, and you may not like that, but this is how we have to be, because someone can use it against you. Yeah. So it's some of those tricky things that come up when it's friends and family. And again, SMEs recruit people because they like them. I really like you. And I have an example of a client who wanted to recruit a managing director to take over her business, that she could focus on another business. And she said, "Oh, I love this person, etc." And I took her through the whole, okay, what is it you want this person to do? What skills do they need to take this away from you so that you can concentrate on something else? And we discovered that this person couldn't negotiate. Her evidence of negotiation was using her charisma and charm. She'd never managed finances. She'd never directly managed a team. But she was going to hand her business to this person because she liked her. So it really is talking about, where's the evidence that you can do this for me? But also, when you're recruiting, the employer tends to do all the talking. This is what I'm looking for. Can you do this? Can you do that? And someone will just say, yes, I can do that. They'll never go back with, tell me a time when you did that. Yeah. And what was the outcome? So, and what was the result? And what were the hiccups? And how did you get over those? So it's all that kind of stuff that I then give to an employer to help them get the right person.
Do you do, so I have heard of companies actually hiring people to do checks on somebody they're about to employ. So actually check that they do have the degree they say they've got, check that they have worked at certain companies and all of this lot. Because I've heard of a situation where somebody just point blank lied and didn't realise they were going to get checked up on. And yeah, the qualifications that this person said they had really didn't exist. So do you do that for people?
No. I know what I don't do that. I know there are companies that do that. But from a contractual point of view, that will be a dismissal.
Yeah. Because this is before we even get employed. This is before we even get employed. This is kind of like
subjective.
Yeah.
So no, I don't do that.
But how amazing you have to do that. How what is the world coming to sometimes? You kind of go, really? And yeah, so what do you think the next big things in HR are going to be?
I think it really will be the employee experience, especially with the change in generations now. So your Z generation, which will have been 2000, will
Yeah.
be coming up to being 20 this year. Yes. So they are entering that labour market. And what have they grown up with? They've grown up with digital stuff. They've grown up with instantaneous
Reward.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
Reward. And so then they're working with somebody who is maybe a baby boomer that still hasn't retired, or someone who's X generation that have and I'm that X generation that have a different ethos, that you follow those rules, whereas the millennials and the Y generation literally will be at why, and it's that understanding, why do you want me to do this, and where's the value in it? So that employee experience is about not only what you want them to do, but the why behind it and how it's going to contribute. And then that's how that they feel that they're actually making a contribution and they're feeling valued. So for example, when I worked in distribution, one of the first things I said was, I want to go and work with a warehouseman, and I want to go out with a driver. I want to get to know people. And none of the managers understood why I wanted to do this. Why do you want to do that? You're in HR. What's it got to do with you? But by getting in and talking to them and asking people, I heard that I'm just a.
Yeah.
And what I then created was a cultural change program where we communicated to everybody in the warehouse that you weren't just a X, Y, and Z. Where if you got that tray out in time onto that lorry with the correct products on it, that reduced the fine to the company at the other end, because it all got away on time.
Yeah.
So your efforts contribute to that.
Yeah.
And once they understood that, it made their approach to work different, because they understood what they were actually doing and why.
Yeah.
And it's a simple thing like that. When you're explaining to a 17-year-old that, yes, that job is really boring, and you've got to put it on this lorry, but the reason you've got to do that is because.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah. So.
So it is that engagement. It's the engagement and the why.
Yeah.
Giving meaning to a task or a job.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we were just told to do it, we'd go away and do it and not really understand why we were doing it. Now people want to know why.
Yeah. I suppose, it is, there are a lot of changes, but at the same time, I think there's a lack of people who want to do the basic stuff. There is a bit of a change in, everybody wants to go straight to being a director or kind of like a CEO without actually having to work in a business. And that's strange to me, because I would never want to be in that kind of level of responsibility of CEO of like a massive company without knowing exactly what I was doing, and that I had the background. It's okay to dream and kind of go, when I'm however old, I will when I grow up, but just kind of now I want to be director. What? No, that's not how it works. Okay, so for those people who are listening and who are maybe going, do you know what? I possibly need some help. What should they do to get in contact with you?
Either through my website when we completed it, to just send me a message, or to just call me directly and have a chat. And what I generally tend to do is just listen to what it is and see if we can resolve it and talk about the options, and then they make a decision whether they want to go forward or not.
Brilliant. No worries at all. Okay, well, thank you very much, Farida. It was lovely chatting to you. I think that was really positive. And we'll say goodbye and thank you again.
Thank you, Lee. It's been great. I really enjoyed that. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye.